What's going on, everyone? Joel Maniac here. So I'm making this video because my video got a lot more attention than I actually thought it would. And it did get quite a few views. It got quite a bit of likes, and it got quite a few comments. And the majority of the comments that were in there was a bunch of the iDubbbz and Hasan fans telling me that context matters, because apparently I can't just react to a video without needing to know the context. You can't just watch a video and give your own 2 cents on it. So I'm going to take some advice from the people in there. And actually get some of the context. Somebody did DM me a video. I'm not going to say who because I don't want people going and harassing that individual. And the video that they sent me was somebody who did provide context into the situation regarding H3 or Ethan. So I'm going to be watching this video. I do got my headphones here so I can hear everything clearly through it, so it's not coming through my soundbar so I don't miss anything. So this actually is the video that was provided. This is actually through a alternate person. Now you might be asking yourself, why are you watching it through an alternate person? This is through Rev Uwu. Rev says Desu. I am subscribed to them. I like this individual because I don't agree with everything they say. I'm not 100% agreeing with them, but I respect them enough to agree with their opinions and to trust what they say is honest. And that's why I subscribe to them, because I believe in them. I respect their opinion, and I believe them to be honest. That's why I'm subscribed to this individual. They did send me this video, so I do trust the source that is coming from, and I believe them to be a neutral individual in this. They're not part of either iDubbbz, Hasan, or Ethan with H3, so I figured this would be a good source to watch. I figured we could watch this together. It's about 19 minutes long. I figured we could watch this. I'm not going to edit this video. I figured we could just go ahead and start watching it, and I'll give you my opinion. This is going to be the react, what have yous. I'm just going to get this pulled up here on the left side, just my Streamlabs here, so I can make sure this is going good, so I can make sure the audio is good for everybody here so they can hear it. Just make sure this is turned up a little bit here, but all right, let's go.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're here. So today we're going to be revisiting the content cop that keeps on.
Just so you're aware, if you see me tap this, I'm muting it. That way I'm not intermingling any kind of my audio with it. I actually do have a button. That way you see it. I'll just hit the button moving forward. I don't want to just interfere with it, but I'll mute my microphone. That way, I can breathe and what have you. I don't want it overlay any audio, but that way if you see me like do anything, I just don't want to, audio, but yeah.
On giving, well, content. So a few days ago, iDubbbz released his content cop on H3, aka Ethan Klein, and as the dust has settled, we've gotten a lot of additional context.
I did not realize the like to dislike ratio. When was this video? When did this come out? This was released 21 hours ago. So as of 21 hours ago, the like to dislike ratio 447 dislikes to 348,000, 447,000 dislikes to 348 likes. I know a lot of you have been coming in there saying the like to dislike ratio can't be trusted, but even if it is like 80% or whatever, that's still a crazy amount. So yeah, even if you're saying take that with a grain of salt, that's still stupid high numbers compared, but dang.
That has made this situation even more ridiculous. Now we have Ethan Klein coming out and making his official response to this content cop, providing additional context as well as some very disturbing details about the surrounding circumstances. Now you can see right now the dislikes continue to climb over 447,000.
And this is that context y'all want me to get.
Dislikes versus 348,000 likes. It's safe to say this has been dislike bombed pretty hard and for good reason.
Wow, over 6 million views in 5 days. Wow.
Thought this would have been a good idea, where iDubbbz revitalizes his content cop series that he said was too mean-spirited to ever open up again. He uses that to backstab his former friend while employing the help of all of his greatest haters to paint Ethan Klein as some unhinged lunatic who's crashing out over absolutely nothing while ignoring important context like the harassment he's faced, the fake CPS calls that the related communities have encouraged against his family that actually ended up with a call being made, and also the human skulls being sent in the mail to his family. Yes, human skulls sent in the mail. That is.
Now I heard about that. I mentioned that someone in the comments that excuse me. That's some of the things that I heard that the CPS calls. People have been mentioning that I didn't know they were actually human skulls. I thought they were fake. The CPS calls people have been mentioning about the calling him because his kids got like giardia and stuff like that. But I didn't realize they were actually human skulls. I've heard about him receiving threats. I don't know if I can say the actual word on YouTube, but like I didn't realize that they were actual human skulls. That is ridiculous over a freaking video. Like, you people need to calm down. I don't care if you're an iDubbbz fan. I don't care if you're a Hasan fan or a Frogan fan. Y'all know my stance on Frogan. I'm not a huge fan of her, quite frankly, but like, y'all need to calm the hell down with that stuff. But and I'm not saying all those in my comments, you people who are like, if you're any of you are doing that or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, the fans, if you're out there and you see this video, like, seriously, that has gone too far to do that stuff. But I'm not saying any of you seeing this video are doing that, but like, if any of those people who are out there see this video, like, that is too far. I don't care who you are, like, I don't care if your stance with Ethan, with Hasan, with anybody, like, I don't care. Like, that is too far. That's someone's family. That's someone individual. Like, that is stupidly too far. I didn't realize they were human skulls. I thought it was like a prop or fake, but dang.
Is the latest detail we just found out from Ethan Klein on this situation, as you can see. But of course, trying to paint him as the villain has backfired because, well, he's the one who's been reacting to a torrent of harassment and deranged behavior for quite some time now. And when you think about this, they really try to frame this content cop, especially at the end, as something that was supposed to be empathetic. Like, they're trying to help out Ethan Klein because he's going through a tough time. He's lost his mind. He's crashing out. Well, of course, doing nothing but mocking him, harassing him, and trying to further more of the bad stuff that is happening to him. And now we have the official response from Ethan Klein on the H3H3 channel. And you can see my response to iDubbbz. And you can see the reaction to this is completely different than the content cop. So in the first 24 hours, it has a like-dislike ratio of about 97%.
Wow. So that's the H3 podcast reaction to it. 110K likes to 4.9K dislikes. That is the complete opposite. Yikes.
Compare that to about the 40% on the content cop. This has been a completely different reaction, and also understand that the communities that he is responding to here are rabid. Okay, I'm not surprised if some of them are going on 5 different accounts trying to put dislikes on this video, but it's still not working. I'm actually pretty impressed by how high the support is for this video, but it makes sense given.
And you're all coming into my video and you're all like just review bombing it, and you're all telling me that I'm going out in left field by supporting some guy who's terrible and everything like that, and I don't know the context, and this is going on. Like come on, guys, seriously.
The context with the content cop. Now, in this response video, he lays out some important context and additional details, mainly how iDubbbz was so manipulative, especially with some of the clips he was using in the beginning of the video, trying to paint Ethan Klein and even his wife, Hila, as these unhinged lunatics who are just lashing out at all these innocent parties that helped contribute to the content cop, that he was crashing out, that he was just losing his mind. Well, of course, iDubbbz during all this leaves out all of the relevant context and tries to manipulate
let's
it
hear
to
this context.
make Ethan Klein the villain.
I've enjoyed your content over the years, and as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say like, yeah, we feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do the extra thing and attack. Now, in fairness, I am attacking back, but I feel very insulted and I feel defensive and I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
So I feel like if you didn't have any additional context, you would probably
And to be fair, like that's I don't have any of the context. Like so and I'm pausing it right here because you all are coming at me in my video saying I don't have any of that important context. And I'm pausing it right here because this is where I want you all to know I don't have the context. So I want you all to know that that's why me giving my opinion in my video, I don't have the context. So I made my opinion based on what I saw in the video. And for you all, I want to know that, or for you all, I want you all to know that my opinion was based on what I saw. And to go off on me saying I don't have the context, I'm going to watch this and react to this to see if my opinion was validated based on what I saw. Let's see what the context is.
probably already be able to see through this facade and how much of an unbearable person iDubbbz has become. Such a condescending attitude, a holier-than-thou attitude that he has really made his entire personality at this point. But what we're referring to here is the lack of context. The clips we just saw and many of the clips shown to prove Ethan Klein's unhinged nature was from this podcast from about a month ago.
Snarl called Child Protective Services on us, H3. Oh, Snark called Child. Who's Snark?
And you can see the title, Snark called Child Protective Services on us. So Snark is a subreddit completely dedicated to attacking Ethan and his family. That's all they do.
There's a subreddit just plain dedicated to called child. Hold on a fucking second. And I'm sorry for my language. I'll make sure I 18 plus this video. There's an entire subreddit to calling CPS on this guy. Are you freaking kidding me? Can you imagine an entire subreddit to calling Child Protective Services on an individual? Like, that's all they do, is they look for reasons to call CPS on somebody. Like, you have nothing better to do with your freaking life but go through some dude's stuff to try to find a reason to call CPS on somebody. Holy fucking get a life.
And people believe they were part of the reason this whole CPS call came through. Now, in iDubbbz's content cop that's supposed to be fair and impartial, he never once, not a single time, mentioned the CPS call, nor did he mention anything that would give any sort of grace to Ethan Klein.
Now, to be fair, before I even goes into it, I want to be 100% clear here. This guy could be a complete shitbag, and by that I mean Ethan. He could be 100% a shitbag, and he could deserve it. So, I mean, before I even go off on that, he could deserve it. So, I mean, he does kind of look like a tweaker. I mean, he just did the whole freaking shaky thing. He could be a junkie. So, I mean, before I even go off on that, he kind of does look like a junkie. He could deserve it. So, yeah, hold on.
In this situation, because this podcast that he made was the same day he had CPS called on his family over absolute nonsense, over people trying to manipulate and exploit that system to try to harm his family simply because they don't like his opinions on things. It's completely unhinged. We talked about it before, and now we're going to be looking at some of the additional context here provided by Ethan Klein. Now, in his response and in the content cop itself, there's a little kerfuffle about this kind of falling out over associations with some problematic people. In the video, iDubbbz says, he was trying to friend police me by saying I can't associate with people like, I don't know, Denim's TV. And Ethan would say it's not just because you follow them on social media, it's because you're actively engaging with people who are saying terrible, awful things about me and my family and contributing to this harassment campaign, and you seem like you're at the very least okay with it by continuing to associate with these people, just, you know, both iDubbbz and his wife, Anissa. And you can see from this, I mean, it was never about trying to help out Ethan Klein. All that moral grandstanding, it was just a shield for them to go after him for over an hour, attacking his character and trying to frame him as some crazy person. Now, of course, he's going to provide some of the context here and show that whole CPS situation and how so many people involved with the production of the content cop were encouraging the sort of hysteria around a lot of the fake information that was being spread about what was going on with his family.
Now, why am I mad at Ian for this? Well, let's start here.
Well, hold on. I thought the other video was what was going to provide the context. So I'm not a fan of that, how we're just jumping to another. I don't know if this is just a clip that was in that video, but I thought the other video was supposed to be what was providing the context. But again, I don't know what's going on with, again, this Ethan dude. He kind of does look like a junkie. I've seen him with the freaking hand movements, but I don't know, that could be a medical condition. I do have an uncle. He has, I don't know what it's called, but he does that thing where he kind of like jerks around a lot. He's not a junkie. He has that, is it palsy, cerebral palsy or something like that? He twerks a lot or jerks a lot. I forget what the medical condition calls it. And I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. He does have a medical condition where he jerks around a lot. I just don't know what the medical condition is called. I think it's called palsy. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I could be 1,000% wrong. I don't have it. I don't know it. I'm not a medical expert, so please correct me if I'm wrong. And he could have that. If I'm being wrong, please correct me. And he could have that. I don't know. But he could also be a junkie. I don't know. But and he could. I thought the other video was going to provide the context, but now we're watching a clip somewhere else. So, and again, I like Rev because Rev is honest and everything, but we were going to watch another video that was going to provide context, and now we're on another clip, so I'm a little confused by that.
Denims is someone he's accusing me of in his video of harassing. Let's see what Denim said about my children 3 days before CPS was called.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid.
So hold on. Okay, so I can kind of see where this is coming from. So you have this dude who is just some random dude who is just making this accusation coming from a housekeeper who supposedly said this, and this person reported it to the subreddit, which is dedicated to calling CPS. And reading this chat, call CPS, child endangerment much, CPS, is literally reporting it to the subreddit in this chat. And this is going into this, and I recognize the lady. She was the one that was in that iDubbbz video. Excuse me. So she was literally the one that was in the video. Okay, so now I see where this is coming together. Okay, so this subreddit, which is literally dedicated to calling CPS on Ethan, now I see where she was involved in this. Okay, so now I'm seeing the context. So this dude who's part and reported this literally got information from some random housekeeper. Okay, so now I see where this is kind of becoming a BS thing against Ethan. And now I see where she's involved. All right, so this is, yeah, okay, I got it now.
I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something. But they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog.
It's called Giardia.
Shit, that is all.
So again, I talked about this in a previous video about a month ago, but to give some additional context, this guy Bad at Banana here who's reporting this is acting like this is some rare unknown disease called Giardia. And that was something that over 1 million...
So something that I'm going to, and I touched base on this in the comments because someone tried bringing this up. So Giardia, it's either Giardia or Giardia. I forget how the correct pronunciation of it is. It's Giardia or yeah. So the lethality of Giardia is like, I think it's like 0.08% chance that you can die from it, or you can actually, the mortality rate of it is, you have a higher chance of dying from the influenza, than you do from this. You have a higher mortality rate from COVID than you do from this. And there was actually, I remember seeing this. This actually went the rounds on Twitter some time ago, because of something similar. And I think it actually might have been because of this, because I remember this whole thing came up when it came. I didn't know it was Ethan in the H3, but I remember someone who was a streamer and podcaster that it came up about. And I didn't know it was actually Ethan. It was a podcast. I didn't know it was him. And it was a whole thing that came up because a streamer, I recognize her a little bit now. But yeah, it was a whole thing that came up, and they were trying to say that he was like, it was not him, but it was a streamer, or I thought it was a streamer podcaster. Either way, but they were trying to say like, oh, it was this whole thing that could kill you, blah blah blah. But it was like the whole thing that came up stating like you have a higher lethality rate from the flu and influenza, and COVID has a higher mortality rate than influenza, and influenza has a higher mortality rate than Giardia. And it was like, wait a minute, but how is this so deadly? And there was a nurse that came out and stated that like, yeah, millions of cases of this comes across the United States every year. This isn't as bad. And it literally contracts because it, like, you say your dog gets sick and your dog takes a dump on the floor, or it literally scoots its butt across the carpet, because that's what dogs do. They scoot their butt across the carpet. And if your dog does this, and say your child walks, like crawls on the carpet, because, you know, children do that, and your child touches its hands and its hands touches in the mouth, and that's how they contract it. That's literally what happens. I remember seeing something about this. Yeah, it was like an entirely unconfirmed thing, and these like nurse practitioners and these nurses like were all coming out saying, yeah, no, this is entirely BS. No, I remember this whole thing. Yeah, it was an entirely thing. This all like, yeah, these entire streamers and not streamers, these podcasters or whatever. Yeah, it was all come up. They're trying to call CPS on this guy. I didn't realize that was Ethan from the H3 podcast. That it was all came out of nowhere. It was stupid. It was you have a higher chance of the influenza virus being deadly to children and you or whatever than you do of Giardia, and these people blew it out of proportion, called CPS on the guy. It was stupid and dumb, and these people are overreactive. I did not realize that was her. Wow.
Million Americans a year suffer from, and we had literal pediatric nurses coming out and saying stuff like this happens to kids. They have a 3-year-old kid who's crawling around on the ground. They had a dog that they just got who was a rescue, who had a stomach virus and clearly couldn't control itself in a new environment. And at some point, the 3-year-old must have crawled into it before someone noticed the leavings were on the ground, and they got sick. And again, all of these pediatric nurses came out and said, this is the kind of stuff they deal with every single day. They don't see a single red flag. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it sounds like it happened. But this person's making it sound like they're going around rolling around this stuff, that they're eating it, that it's like it's everywhere in their house, that it's completely unsafe. And you can see the logs here that people have gathered together of these sorts of reactions. And are you surprised that this happening 3 days before the CPS call is not much of a coincidence?
It's true, dude. How is it that like maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit. This is
Why are you following him that freaking closely? Why are you looking for shit? Like, that is terrible. Don't fucking
look
look for shit.
This bad empanada person, because like this video that they're reacting to, Denims is reacting to, is like very key to this whole thing where a lot of this stuff really heated up. And it's like the more I look at this guy, the more unhinged he is. Like, we talk about Frogan with her quote about how she thinks American soldiers deserve PTSD. I mean, he said...
Yeah, you all know how I feel about her. I can't freaking stand Frogan.
This. Every U.S. veteran gay-manning themselves is a criminal bringing themselves to justice. I think this is actually worse than the Frogan line. Then you see that he was celebrating in multiple chats when CPS was abused in order to target Ethan Klein's family over this matter. And then you also see this bizarre Instagram story that he released.
Wait, so this bad empanada person also hates veterans? Oh, that's lovely. Another person I get to despise.
Pretty recently, where he said, the 26th and 27th of April, there is another surprise for you, Ethan. Enjoy the ruining of your life. And this is one of the clips from that story.
Oh yeah, this person looks unhinged.
Tick-tock goes the clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock. If you thought it was bad today, my friend, you just wait and see what else we have in store for you.
Psycho. Totally psycho.
They all seem like really normal people, but you can see based on this whole interaction here, the chat was getting very riled up by this, and it's no coincidence that, 3 days later there was a CPS call made. Now let's look at one more part here where Denims tries to justify a CPS call on kids because, well, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, they probably won't remember what happens during...
How many freaking water bottles do you need on your desk? Holy shit. Was there like 3 or 4 there? Damn.
something like that.
I don't want you to create any bad memory here for them. Like, they are 5 and 3.
I'm sorry, I cannot stand that when somebody breathes into a microphone. Oh my god, it just like went right into my damn ear.
They don't understand this shit. So I told him,
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you stupid? You start forming memories at like 2 or 3. Like they literally tell you that children start forming memories at like 2 or 3 years old. That is the dumbest freaking thing I've ever heard. What is that IQ point? Oh, I can't see the rest because of the hair. Okay. Oh, I see what they're doing.
Nah, yes, you are. No,
Oh,
you're
they're
not.
counting down.
When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff.
4?
But even if you are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like 15.
15?
Yeah, you get it. She wears many hats. She's
Wow, are you baked until past 15 and that's why you don't remember anything? Holy crap.
an expert in many different fields and is able to make very bold statements like this, basically saying that a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, who cares if they make there's a false CPS report made on their family and now the kids have to be interviewed. Who cares what happens, because they won't remember it anyways, which is total BS, by the way. And also, what a chilling effect that would have if you use that as a standard.
My earliest memory was 1993. I was 3 years old. And that memory was when we moved into our first home, was in Lewiston. We moved into our first home. And I can remember, and I know this home because it was actually the very first home we had. It's when we moved out of an apartment. My dad purchased our first home. It was a very shitty ass little home on it was a very shitty home, and I'll never forget it because my dad got a fake rock. 1993 was carved into it, and our last name was carved onto it. And he put it on a tree, and we were all standing there, and that is when we all got our very first home as we were kids. I will never forget that because that was my first memory at 3 years old in 1993. So, pound sand, lady. We all start forming memories. You were just so baked you can't remember anything prior to being 15 years old. Fucking dumbass.
For all kids across the world, right? So like nothing matters as long as they're not like physically harmed. Nothing matters because they're 3 and 5. Like what? An absolutely deranged thing to say here. And like, don't you see why someone would be uncomfortable with this person being friends with you or your wife when they're talking about your family like that? And it gets even worse. There's other clips like this where she tried to imply that Hila, Ethan's wife, was a child killer.
I mean, having...
Oh, damn.
if you opened the
Guys, the IDF member is bringing us back to reality. Okay? The IDF member is bravely taking a break from killing unarmed children to bring us back to reality.
What a wild and gross thing to say. And
You know, I wonder if she thinks anything about me being a prior service member. You know, because all these people think that being a prior service member, if I deserve PTSD, I wonder if they think anything terrible about me. You know, sick, disgusting freaking people. That is a terrible, terrible freaking thing to say. God.
also, for those who don't know, the IDF is something that anyone born in Israel, like
Israeli Defense Force, people born in Israel are typically forced to be members of.
his wife, Hila, they have to participate when they turn 18.
It's kind of like how certain people in South Korea, there's a lottery that they're forced. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's South Korea or Vietnam. I can't remember. I think it's South Korea or Vietnam, one of the two. They're actually forced to be in their military. It's like a lottery they have to do. Kai Cenat's friend, Ray, I think his name is. He was supposed to be in it in the lottery, but he wasn't actually chosen. It's like a lottery. They can choose which one you go into in order to go into the military service. But the IDF, you're forced to go into for a certain amount of years, and you got to do mandatory service in the IDF. They don't have a freaking choice. That is a fucking horrible thing to say. What an utter horrible person for saying that. That is just utterly disgusting.
So she uses that as an opportunity to imply that she was game-ending unarmed children during her service, which is a outlandishly slanderous thing to say, but also something that apparently is pretty funny to people like Hassan Piker, who was reacting to the response that Ethan Klein made recently. And this is,
again, the person that I made mention of the video where he wasn't anywhere to wish Ethan well at the end of that. You know, he was just there to mock him and to laugh at him and to say wake up and to insult him, but was nowhere there to wish him well at the end of the video, because why would he?
this is how he reacted to that whole segment we just looked at.
The boy could be an actor, you know what I mean?
Denims, who literally calls my wife a baby killer, amongst other insane, terrible things.
All right, he's just like, dude.
Why is that freaking funny? Only Hassan would think calling somebody that would be funny. The dude who literally threatens people on stream, the dude who literally calls people out to do stuff like that would think that's funny. Like, I can't with him. Like I don't have any real, like, I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but how is that funny? Like, what kind of sense of humor do you have to think something like that is even remotely funny at all? At all. Like, I think anybody is entitled to their own opinion, but how is that in any way, like, what kind of sense of humor do you have to think that's funny? At all.
Dude, this is such a funny way to react to this.
Am I missing something, guys? Am I missing the joke here? Like, what is...
Yeah, the joke is Hassan. Hassan is the joke. He's so freaking done with his career. He's so freaking done with anybody taking him seriously with anything. He realizes that nobody besides his own crazy radical fan base ever takes him seriously anymore. I mean, anybody else remember the whole Coke thing where his stupid radical fan ran up to him and says, "You got to stop drinking Coke on your stream. The boycott, Hassan, the boycott." And he literally laughed at her face. "Oh, can I drink Pepsi?" Ha ha ha. The boycott that he pushed. Like, his own radical fan base thinks he's a freaking joke, that he laughs at them. Dude, the guy is nothing but a walking fucking joke. Hassan, he's nothing but a walking joke. That's all he is to his fans, and his fans think he's a joke. They're literally turning on him in his streams, that he pulls his chats out and yells at them and rants at them now. That he's now laughing at stuff like this. He is the joke, to the point where he's laughing at stuff like that. That is not funny. He's laughing at his own career dying.
It's so funny. Are we watching an episode of Bro Tips? You know, some classic Hassan Piker stuff here. Like, is that what we're laughing at? Because I don't understand what's so funny about someone implying that their wife is a baby killer. Like, what is so hilarious about that? And of course, he has no actual, like, argument as to why that was acceptable whatsoever. Why Ethan is so wrong for being offended by that.
Here's my biggest gripe about Hassan, and you know what? I don't quite care if he hears this, sees this. I don't quite give two shits. Look, and if you're a fan of Hassan, I want you to honestly answer this for me. Like, his entire thing, and if he was like this person who's all about like being against the rich or whatever, that's fine. You can be against the rich. That's fine. But he's rich. Like, the dude's worth millions. He makes millions every year. I don't know if you realize this, but the 1%, the annual income for 1% is over $870,000 annually to be qualified as the 1%. Did you know that? Did you also know that the 1% make $887,000 annually. Do you know how much he makes annually just from streaming? Like $4 million a year. So Hassan Piker's the 1%. So his eat the rich means you eat him. So he wants you to target him. So he wants you to literally, what? The dude owned a Tesla at one point, or at least he drove one. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He doesn't own a Tesla. I forget what the car. It's electric. It's not Tesla. Correct me in the comments. I don't know. Some fancy rich car. The dude owns a multi-million-dollar house in California. The dude drives a fancy electric car that apparently can't even make it 200 miles because he can't charge a damn thing. The dude tells you to eat the rich, which apparently is him. He crashes out because he's too busy going off on Elon Musk, even though he pays for a blue check mark on Twitter. What do you want me to tell you, dude? You're literally telling everybody to target you. I don't understand it. What's your game here? I don't get him. I don't get Hassan. To me, my opinion about him, he reminds me of Andrew Tate. He tells people to follow him, to follow his lifestyle, to do what he says, to do his whole thing. He literally gets them into this pyramid scheme of following his lifestyle to go after people that are just like him. He's fucking Andrew Tate with hair. That's it. He's hypocritical. He tells people to go against the rich. I swear to God, he's just like Andrew Tate the second he starts saying the Matrix. That's it. I don't get it. But whatever, that's just me. Let's get back with the video.
He's just like, oh, dude, okay, dude. As per usual. But anyways, in
okay, dude.
Ethan's response, we would get another very disturbing round of information here. It wasn't just the CPS call around that time. There was another very disturbing development that he's going to explain right now.
There's something that I've never talked about publicly, but around the same time, we received 2 human skulls in the mail at
This
our
part's
home,
freaking crazy.
which led us to having a very pleasant interview with the FBI. Things have progressed well past the point of that's just what the internet does. Ian had a recent revelation. He's transcended into a new person. He's achieved nirvana and discovered empathy at age 32.
I think only in these past couple of years have I gained the ability empathy. And I'm very ashamed to admit that.
So yeah, obviously things have gotten to a level that is absolutely disgusting. Someone's sending what is alleged to be human skulls to
insane.
his home. Like, how messed up is that? How does anyone sit there and try to rationalize what's going on here? And of course, I guarantee you, every single person on this screen right now you're looking at, not a single one of them will say that's too far. Not a single one of them will say anything remotely
None of them have said that
close
yet.
to sending human skulls to someone's house because you don't like their opinions is a bit too far. None of them will say it. In fact, what we're actually seeing is people in this whole crowd playing defense. They're already trying to defend themselves. You have that bad empanada individual once again making statements on YouTube saying, imagine getting destroyed so bad for genocide apologia that you are reduced to trying to play the victim by buying novelty human skulls, claiming that someone else sent them to you as a threat, and posting pictures of them with the tags from the store you bought them from still plainly visible. Zionists will do literally anything to avoid reckoning with the reality of their ideology. That's very, well, let's just say cope. Okay, at this point, they're trying to say that they're buying this stuff for themselves and then also getting the FBI involved. So they're going to buy fake props and then get a federal agency involved, which, by the way, would be a false report. That would be
it's illegal. You can't do that.
They would risk all of that for this unnecessary step. They don't need any more sympathy right now. They're winning this whole battle. Okay, we're seeing Cope here. Oh, they're winning. They're, Ian and all these guys, they're winning, and Ethan's losing so hard he has to resort to this. No, everyone with 2 functioning eyeballs and a few brain cells can understand the optics of the situation. The content cop blew up in Ian's face and everyone involved, and now we're having these additional details coming out that make all of these people involved in this harassment campaign look even more foolish. And again, the burden's on them to prove that this stuff is fake. You want to make an allegation that this stuff is fake, well, it's on you. And also, it's the message being sent. What looks like very real skulls being sent in the mail, 2 of which, by the way, and also, coincidentally, he has 2 children. So I think the message is very clear, and any normal person would find this very disturbing and would rightfully report it to the authorities, which is exactly what happened. Now, moving on with this and wrapping it up for today, a lot of people are starting to speculate about Creator Clash 3. This is iDubbbz's big...
All right, so I'm not going to go into the whole Creator Clash thing. I just want to watch this for the context. So, what this again was by RevSays Desu on YouTube. iDubbbz effed around and finally found out was the name of the video. I'm going to post a link to it if you want to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and give it a like. I already subscribed to RevSays Desu. Just want to give full credit. Again, I'm going to give a link to it in the video description below. Now that I have the full context of the video, I'm going to give my opinion of it. I'm not going to change my opinion because now that I have the full context, no, I'm not going to change my opinion of what I put out there. Do I think that Ethan is a guy who deserves what he got? No. Because I still think the people who are doing this are still the kind of people that they are. I still cannot believe that there's an entire subreddit devoted to following Ethan just to report CPS on him and his family. I cannot believe that that lady literally checks on him all the time, and she just literally looks up his wife, and that's absolutely ridiculous. And Hassan literally laughs at I don't even know if I could say the word there on YouTube, baby ender, or I don't even know how you want to say that without me getting demonetized or whatever. That is absolutely, how do you laugh at that? Like, how do you laugh at that? Like, these people are absolutely demented. I mean, I'm not even gonna get into Frogan. Like, these people are just absolutely unhinged weirdos. And now that I have the context behind these people, it's like, yeah, this video, the intent of it was like, Ethan, you know, oh, he's also a bad person. So are they. These people are all messed up in the head. Compared to them, Ethan seems like he's the normal one. They wanted me to get the context behind it. It didn't help anything. It didn't help anything whatsoever. You wanted me to get the context, well, I got it. And quite frankly, it didn't help anything at all. Again, big shout out to RevSays Desu. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna leave the link in the description below. But yeah, the context didn't help nothing. I'm not gonna change my opinion on the video itself. Let me know what you think of the video in the description below. They're gonna keep coming into my comments. They're gonna keep probably review bombing it. But you know what? It is what it is. I just gave my opinion on the video, and you know, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to keep making videos out there. If they're going to keep coming in here, they're going to keep bullying, harassing, whatever, you know, do what you got to do. I'm sorry, but what they're doing to Ethan, what they did to Ethan, that is ridiculous. The fact that they're sending human skulls in the mail, that is absolutely disgusting. Calling CPS on him, literally a subreddit devoted to CPS. I mean, what I think Ethan is doing, just like his opinions, that is, I don't know what his opinions are, but that is terrible. Literally a podcaster or streamer checking in on his family like every day, and then like, oh, this is what every time I check in on them and I find something new, you're stalking them. Like, what is wrong with you, lady? Like, I don't care if what they talk about is terrible. That is disgusting. And then Hassan laughing at them, calling her a baby ender. Like, what is wrong with you, dude? That is just absolutely gross. But everybody out there, hope you all have a good one. Like, I need to get off YouTube. This is like right now. This is yeah, I'm gonna go upstairs, watch some TV or do something else. That is absolutely ridiculous. I hope you all have a good one. I'll see you next time.